morning, dear listener. This is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. I had the joy of a gentleman spitting at my car on Friday. Wasn't that pleasant? Wasn't that pleasant? He then went to threaten me. I thought he was going to pull out a gun. I genuinely did. It was a piece of Lego, which he then tossed at my car. Thanks, man. The joys of driving in central London. Boy, how have I not missed that? Lots coming up on the show this morning. As always, keen to get your say on lots of these stories. So we're not sending military action to Syria, but what about the humanitarian aid? Would you send money to Syria? I've been watching this series of Celebrity Big Brother, thoroughly enjoying it. There's a young lady on there from a programme I've never seen called Geordie Shore. Never seen it. Well, this young lady, her name's Charlotte, she seems very pleasant and very nice and very attractive. But, well, she wet the bed the other day and she gets very drunk and she's a little bit thuggish. And, well, there are young people looking up to her as a kind of a hero, and values is what it comes down to. She doesn't seem to have any. Whose responsibility is it to teach their children values? Is it the teachers or is it the parents? And this morning we're asking, would you have a go? Facebook.com/BBC3CR. You can send a text 81333, start your text 3CR, and you can give me a phone call 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
If anybody's seen this Geordie Shore, I've never seen... Catherine's producing this morning. Producer Catherine, have you seen Geordie Shore?
I got into it when I was pregnant and couldn't sleep. And I couldn't quite believe my eyes.
Apparently, some of the... I mean, this girl weeing in the bed on Celebrity Big Brother is nothing compared to the other things they do on there.
It's a shame. They do seem to be learning, though. I mean, it's, about 4 series in, and they suddenly appear to be learning that you shouldn't really do certain things, but they're learning slowly.
Well, if anybody... Thank you, Producer Catherine. And but the show today, what have we got lined up? Good one or medium or not so good?
I'd say 7 at this point, but you're bringing it up.
Oh, righty.
So keep on.
7 out of 20, by the way. That's the score system she works on. If you've seen this Geordie Shore, can you explain it to me? 08459 455 555. On to slightly more serious issues. 2 brothers from Luton have set up a Facebook campaign to raise money for the people of Syria. At the top of the Save Syria UK page, you'll find a bank account number, sort code, which, according to Ali Khan, who joins me in the studio now, will channel funds towards the relief effort for civilians caught up in the crisis. Well, this comes against the political backdrop of the US Secretary of State, John Kerry, saying Washington has proof Damascus used sarin gas last month, while the Syrian government insists any military action against it would amount to support for Al-Qaeda and its affiliates. So the question this morning, dear listener, would you send money to Syria? 08459 455 555. As I said, I'm joined by Ali Khan, one of 2 brothers from Luton, who started up the Facebook campaign Save Syria UK. Morning, Ali.
Good morning.
How much impact does all this political toing and froing that we've seen over the last week or so have on the work that you do?
I think it's going to mount the amount of refugees coming out of Syria. That's going to go beyond the limits. I had an experience of going down in Turkey, to the south of Turkey, and I've seen some of the camps there. I mean, there's a United Nations report that says there's a $2 billion gap in the refugees, and I've seen these camps. They're overcrowded. They lack resources, and you have a lot of issue with injured coming all over the place.
So describe the scene. You went to one of these refugee camps in Turkey, obviously on the Syrian border. What was it like? What did you see?
Well, it's like camps. To be honest, I've seen one family. They had about 28 people in the family. They just crossed the border. I've seen that with my own eyes, and it's night, around 8 o'clock. And you just can't... They don't know where they're going to go, because there's no space in the camps, so they're just lying on the streets. And, I mean, it's... if you say Syria, it's not a third world country. It wasn't a third world country. So these people, they might have these Gucci Armani bags on their shoulders, but they have no money to live on now. So the scale of the disaster, the emotional impact on them is quite huge.
Now, you're not Syrian, so why are you getting involved?
Well, I've seen that. I was in Turkey when I look at these Facebook profiles of people saying what's going on in Syria. Especially one of the guys, he posted, look, these are the camps Well, Turkey's camps are the best ones in among all of these. So I had this chance while I was in Turkey. It was just about, I think, £55 return to south of Turkey. So I just took the flight and went there to see what's actually going on. Because, what we see is a to and fro in the news. Sometimes it goes to the political side and sometimes go to the humanitarian side. So I actually wanted to have a feel of it. Well, to be honest, it was too horrible for me. The sight is too horrible.
So the money that you're raising via your Facebook page, where exactly would it go?
Well, we in Save Syria, we have started this campaign where we are actually encouraging and urging all medical people, especially doctors. Some people have come forward. They are giving us, these medicines which are closing to the expiry date. So we are actually moving these medicines into the camps and also directly into Syria via the IHH in Turkey. That's the only route. So
it's primarily medical equipment.
No, the refugees in the camps, more than 3/4 of the refugees are women and children. So it's also about sheltering them. So it's increasing the camps, but yes, primarily it is medical. If we say more than 50% is medical.
Some of the people have argued that by giving aid to various charities that support Syria, in some way or other, you're supporting Al Qaeda or you're giving it to some people who aren't very nice. You can guarantee that if anybody donates any money to your website, it's not going to go to any naughty people like that.
Oh, no. I think it's just a political... Well, if you say someone is Al Qaeda, I think there's nothing in there Al Qaeda. It's the refugee camps and it's humanitarian. You're just giving them out irrespective of their race, religion, or any other thing.
So the money isn't, just to clarify, because I know that some people will be confused, the money isn't going to aid the rebels. It's not going towards any military action within Syria. It's to help sick women. It's help women and kids who need medicine and things like that. Can you be sure, Ali, that you're making a difference? Because there are so many charities.
Yeah.
Would it not be better to give money to one of the bigger charities, like the Red Cross or something like that? Well, what's different about what you're doing?
I think the difference is because obviously we have a 100% donation policy. So I'm myself a qualified accountant. My background is quite settled, and the other people who are helping us are also qualified doctors in the professionals. So we are actually ensuring that whatever money gets is actually going down straight to the people in the camps.
Okay.
That's what we're doing.
And have you been back out to the camp since you started this charity to see what effect you're having?
Exactly. You can see, because we started this effort in March. So when I went to Turkey, one of the reasons I visited is actually to see where the money is going. So we have seen camps, we've seen medical camps, facilities running now.
If people want to help and get involved, Ali, where do they go? What do they do?
Well, they just give me a call either on my mobile number, that's 074.
Let's not give your mobile number out because I know that listening to a show like this, we sometimes have some fruitcakes.
Okay.
And I would not want you to be the victim of my fruitcakes calling you up and possibly giving you abuse. So make sure we've got your number and we'll sort that out. Is there what's the website, the Facebook page?
It's savesyria.org.uk.
Savesyria.org.uk.
Yeah, and the Facebook page is facebook.com/SaveSyriaUK.
Okay, Ali, well listen, I hope you don't mind me stopping you giving out your number. I'm doing that for your sake.
No, that's fine. So, I can understand
but
that.
Listen, but best of luck with it. And, have we made the right decision not going in on a military level, do you think?
Well, to be honest, political side is not my sort of cake. But if I say, well, no, there is... If a government starts, for example, we people living in the UK and the government starts killing us, obviously we would want someone to help us. And this is the problem in Syria. It's a huge country. No matter whatever amount of aid we give, there is still going to be chaos. And if the action increases, like the government, the atrocious, the things which the government is doing over there, that increases, the refugees are going to increase. And ultimately, we will have problem here because people are going to come here and take asylum. So you need to stop that.
Ali, thank you very much for coming in. Best of luck. That's Ali Khan. Give us a call, 08459 455 555. Would you give money to Syria? Very simple question. Speak to you after this. Billy Joel. Would you give money to Syria? Humanitarian aid. Ali Khan there, it sounds like he's making a difference. Sounds like, on the face of it, a nice bloke trying to do something decent. What do you think? Would you give money to Syria? I know lots of you will say, oh, hang on. Charity begins at home. Well, Does it really?
Let her know you need her. Let her know.
08459 455 555. Are you heartless if you don't give money to Syria? 08459 455 555. It's coming up to 6:16. It's BBC Three Counties Radio, and let's get the travel from a Twitter stalker of mine, Chris Humphreys. I'm watching you, Humphreys. I'm watching you, Humphreys.
Likewise.
Yeah, I know. Away you go, sir.
I'm Chris Humphreys, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much, Chris. Dear listener, would you get involved? 08459 455 555. Oh, I saw the Ruttles on Friday. They were marvellous. Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. A new report from the University of Birmingham suggests 80% of parents believe schools should teach children character and values alongside academic study. 87% of parents who spoke to researchers at the Jubilee Centre for Character and Values said schools should focus on character development and academic study in equal measure. Well, Tom Harrison is the Centre's Deputy Director. Morning, Tom.
Morning.
Tom, isn't this just parents passing the buck? Surely it's primarily down to them, isn't it?
Oh, I think we totally agree that it's primarily a parent's job to develop the character of their young people. I think what we're just, or what parents perhaps are suggesting here within the survey, is that schools also have a role as well.
What role do they have? What would the parents like to see?
Well, I think from our research and also talking to schools is that the balance has got kind of far too out of place with the priorities for schools to actually look at, or they're only kind of judged right now on how their academic results are. When we look at all the big kind of news about A-level and GCSE results that we've just had as well, that's all they're ever judged on by kind of Ofsted. And I think what parents and other people who've suggested as well are suggesting is that actually character, you know, how the young people are, what kind of values, what virtues they actually have, is just as equally as important.
But you can't measure that, can you? We need some form of measurement to judge schools' success. So the A-levels and the GCSEs, it seems like a decent way of doing it.
Yeah, I mean, we're not suggesting for any reason that actually academic and kind of A-level and GCSE results and the academic side of schools is not important. It's obviously absolutely crucial. But what we're also saying that young people spend a huge amount of their time in schools every single day, and these schools are a kind of very formative places that really do shape the character and virtues of young people. Measurement is obviously an interesting and kind of a challenging question, and we're not actually necessarily suggesting it does need to be measured. What we do feel is that there does need to be kind of a much more heightened focus on character in schools.
And would it be a lesson, or is it simply... because the thing is, I remember some of the teachers at my school being right old dodgepots. You wouldn't want to take on their morals or ethics.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think what we're saying is that character can be both caught and taught. I think most of it is actually caught. I think most of it is caught by the school and the school ethos and culture. The communication throughout the school, the role modelling done by teachers, etc. But we think there is also an opportunity in some lessons to actually teach character in a more discreet way through actual kind of particular lessons. And I've seen this done fantastically in a lot of schools, as well as an increasing number of kind of resources and materials out there for teachers to actually use. They actually focus and give young people an opportunity to reflect on who they are and who they want to be.
Surely some of the most important years are the first 3-4 years before kids go into nursery and go into school. They should have learnt a lot about character and values and ethics then, shouldn't they?
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, what I'm trying to say is that I think this sort of thing goes on day in, day out in schools, from preschools all the way through. I think we're not trying to suggest at the Jubilee Centre that, kind of character isn't, development isn't happening at schools all the time. I think what we're trying to say is that there's really lost any kind of focus on it, and therefore it's not given any priority or any value for it. What our feeling, and it's been backed up very much by this parent survey, is that that given more focus and value on it, hopefully we'll have a more productive idea of what actually kind of a full education means. So we think it certainly happened, but unfortunately schools are never judged on all the other fantastic things they do in developing a kind of well-rounded and young people people ready for employment.
Tom, thank you very much. That's Tom Harrison, Deputy Director of the Jubilee Centre for Character and Values. Well, what do you think? After 7, we'll be hearing from parenting expert Sue Atkins. But what do you think? Should teaching kids' values be an important, more integral part of school life? Should it be down to the parents?
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Well, I'm left scratching. £85 million. He is Batman's cousin. That's a true fact. Not the new Batman, not Ben Affleck, the old Batman, Christian Bale. I think they're cousins or something like that. Anyway. But even still, how can a man be worth £85 million? Can we get Jeff Doyle, the sports expert, on the show at some point this morning? I want to. He'll. Oh, yeah, it's fine. Oh, but perfectly justifiable. How can it be? If you're a football fan, can you give me a call, please, and to try and explain to me how this the Bale gentleman is worth £85 million? 08459 455 555. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. I wouldn't pay £85 million for one of my children. I'd go maybe 20 quid? I'm joking. It's a joke, for goodness sakes. But 08459 455 555. Coming up in the next 30 minutes of the show, would you have a go? Now, that was chosen by producer Catherine. Good morning, producer Catherine.
Good morning.
Who are they?
That's the Civil Wars.
Well, now, and you told me an interesting fact. They hate each other.
They hate each other's guts. They've just won an Emmy and finally made it big, but they've split up.
Oh.
Because they cannot bear each other. Apparently they made most of their album that they've won all the prizes for going in separately, so it's not to see each other.
A quick list of bands that hate each other: Simon and Garfunkel, Everly Brothers, Kinks, Oasis. Towards the end, the Beatles.
Take that.
Do they hate each other
at some point?
Oh, 08459 455 555.
5 Star. No, they didn't.
I think they
Brothers and sisters. They always do.
That's not. Yeah, they always do a little bit. I'm trying to think other bands.
Go West. I'm making it up now.
You are being silly now. 08459 455 555. Now, the reason I've got your microphone on is not because we're a little bit lack on time and one of our guests has just dropped out.
Well, there is that too, but...
But something happened to you this weekend, and I don't mean that thing. The other thing in the park.
Yeah, in the park. I went to the park with my mum, and it's not unusual these days to have to do a bit of a litter pick before you can wade through.
Parks are filthy these days.
And you know what? We're opposite a big supermarket.
Oh, jeez.
And the kids go in there on a Friday night and they fill their boots with all kinds.
You talk about values, right? You got some rubbish. Just put it in your pocket, put it in your bag, put it in a bin. I don't know. It's a bit old-fashioned, isn't it?
Especially if it's effectively a big bag of family-size shopping, because they buy, I don't know, donuts and stuff. I don't know what these kids are eating. Anyway, so they're sitting in the park. I do know what they're eating, actually, because I'm picking up after them. Bottles and bits and bobs.
Into the microphone, my love.
Anyway, so Mum does this litter pick. I was already in the supermarket. I come over. My mum's, pushing the kids on the swing and said it was worse than usual. So
vodka bottles.
All sorts.
In my little playground, vodka bottles.
And also, who writes swear words on kids' playground?
Oh,
it's
man.
It's just so horrible. My little girl's starting to read, and I'm having some uncomfortable lies having to tell her about what things say. You know, involving male chickens, etc. So she's swinging on the swings, and Mum said it was worse than usual, and she's fuming, actually, because it's not what you should... You go to the park, you shouldn't have to be doing the whole litter pick thing. Anyway, so she's done this.
We finish at 9 o'clock this morning. You know that, don't you?
She's done this. These girls pitch up after we've been there for about 15 minutes, and they've got their shopping. And they sit in a circle, and I'm talking about probably 13, 14-year-old girls. Very sort of nicely turned out, obviously all text each other to meet up at the park.
I mean, I could ask JBS to start half an hour later.
And my mum sees one of them chuck her litter over her shoulder. She's talking probably about boys. Or maybe about an intellectual novel. No, probably about boys. So before
In fact, JBS, don't bother coming in. I think we might go straight through to Nick Coffer today.
Mum says, I had enough of this. I'm going in. I said, Mum, leave it. She's already there, and she has a go. A polite go, but nevertheless she was firm. She said, look, I don't think it's very fair that I have to come here and I have to do a litter pick before we start, because people come in and enjoy themselves and leave their stuff. So, girls, if you wouldn't mind, when you've finished eating your picnic, would you put it back in your bags and put it in the bin?
And they told her to jog on?
No, they said, sorry.
Oh, really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, so they come in with sort of side-swept hair and a cocky demeanour, but actually, when they were told or asked politely, they responded fine. But I don't know whether I would have dared wade in. I was standing well back. I felt a bit ashamed of myself afterwards, because I didn't stand next to my mum. I stood well back with the children.
You were Judas?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to turn your microphone off now. Thank you. So, would you... would you have a go is the question, is it?
Would you have a go?
OK, let's go to Kelly Betts, who's out about. Morning, Kelly Betts.
Mum, look, I know it's not a real report. No, I know. It's just what I've been sent out to do. I know. I can't leave. Hold on.
Kelly.
Hello.
Yeah, you're on the radio
Hi.
now.
Oh, sorry, Mum. I've got to go. All right. Love you. Bye. Sorry. Hi, Ian.
Hi, Kelly.
Hey.
Nice to talk to you.
Lovely to speak to you.
So you've heard Catherine's story there.
Yeah.
Great. I felt like I was living it in real time.
Yeah, I know. I felt like I was there.
Yeah. Yes. Would you ever have a go?
I would have a go.
We've been asking you to ask people today whether they have a go. What have they been saying?
Well, lots of blank looks. Some people saying what, some people saying no, and one man saying Bedford. Have a listen. Hi, excuse me. I'm from Three Counties Radio, and we were asking this morning, would you have a go? Well, would you have a go?
At what?
Would you?
No.
Okay, thanks. Hi, I'm from Three Counties Radio, and we were asking this morning, would you have a go?
I'm going to work.
Would you have a go, though?
On work.
You're going to work?
Yeah.
Would you have a go there?
Albert Road.
Bedford?
Yeah.
Brilliant, thanks very much. Hi, I'm from Three Counties Radio. Would you have a go?
Huh?
Would you have a go?
Visa.
Would you have a go?
No understand.
Would you have a go?
I don't understand.
Oh, okay. So would you or would you not? What do you think? Yes or no?
What do you say? You again repeat?
Yes or no? Would you have a go?
No understand me.
No.
You don't understand. What you say answer.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Carry on as you were. Hi, morning. I'm from Three Counties Radio, and we were asking this morning, would you have a go?
Have a go?
Yeah.
Would
you have a go?
A what?
Would you have a go?
Have a go at what?
Would you have a go?
A go at what?
You're at a bus stop this morning. Would you have a go?
You've lost us completely.
I'm getting some blank faces. So would you have a go or not? Do you know?
Depends at what.
What about you?
Exactly the same question. Have a go at what?
Yeah. All right, thanks. Hi, I'm from Three Counties Radio. You're standing here cleaning windows. Yeah. I'm asking the very important question, would you have a go?
A what?
Would you have a go?
No.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Hi, excuse me, I'm from Three Counties Radio, asking the question this morning, would you have a go?
A go at what?
Would you?
A go at what?
But would you, if you had to?
But I don't know what I'm going for.
But if you had to, would you?
Well, I'm going to work now, so.
Okay, thanks. Hi, I'm from Three Counties Radio, asking, would you have a go?
Sorry?
Would you have a go?
On what?
On would you have a go?
Would you?
Would I? I would. Would you?
Oh, have a go on what?
But would you?
On what?
But would you have a go, though?
But on what? I don't know.
But yes or no?
Yes.
So disappointing reaction there, Kelly. Not many people, it seems, would have a go.
Is this real?
Sorry?
Is this real? Are we on air?
This is actually going out
Brilliant.
on the BBC.
Oh, that's excellent. Yeah, disappointing reaction. Not many people would have a go. Most people would say what?
Not as disappointing as me finding out Justin Dealey wasn't in this week.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Soz.
Where are you off to now?
Where do you want me to go? Would you have a go?
Thanks very much indeed. Catherine, it's disappointing reaction, isn't it?
People wouldn't have a go. My mum, and Kelly would be the only ones who'd have a go.
I'd have a go. I've had a go. And wouldn't necessarily have a go if the kids were there, but I have had a go. People... Well, I did actually once. There was a gentleman... there was a gentleman smoking a drug cigarette at a bus stop. And I had
They think no one knows, don't they?
They think no one knows. It smells of drugs. It smells of drugs. It smells of Eastern mysticism and indeed a little bit of magic. And
it smells of a life going off the rails. Is what you're supposed to
it does.
Say.
And, oh, yeah, that's right. It's not the romantic image I just painted. And I was there with the boy and I said, mate, I don't think you really want to be smoking at a bus stop. Why not, man? He didn't speak like that. So he spoke in a very... Why not? I said, well, because I've got children here and you don't want to be doing that. And he carried on smoking. But I had a go.
Yeah.
I would have a go.
You respect yourself for that.
I respect myself. I had to go on his drug cigarette. I didn't! For goodness sakes. 08459 455 555. The question is, dear listener, would you have a go? You can send me a text as well, 81333. Start your text 3CR. Or you can go to facebook.com/BBC 3CR. Morning, dear listener. This is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio, 08459 455 555. Well, the last month, about this time, we had a call from Ramesh, who was worried about buses stopping in the middle of the road in Luton's Bury Park. Well, Ramesh told us that the area is gridlocked daily and bus passengers are risking their lives whenever they get on and off. The Luton Borough Councillor responsible, Dave Taylor, told us that the life at risk was nonsense, but that he said he'd have a look into it first. We'll speak to him in a minute, but first, Ramesh and his wife Habby are in the studio. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Ramesh, we'll start with you, because I suspect that your wife may be trouble. Has anything changed since we last spoke? Come nice and close to the microphone.
Nothing at all, man. No, nothing changed.
So just remind us what the problem was, what the issue was you had.
The problem was that they got to have a proper bus stops on the Bury Park, yeah. I mean, when they done this, they spent millions pound there. It's gone from where to worse. You got to have a proper bus stop on the side. They made the footpaths big there so they can put their shop display there. There's no health and safety there. So they need a proper bus stops. I already spoken to Mr. Harris some time ago. He said, we want to do it, but we haven't got the funds. So you imagine, all the buses goes on the Bury Park Road. I can mention the names of the buses. Every 3, 4, 5 minutes going through there, and the traffic is standstill. You can work there out how many hours and how much petrol people burn in Bury Park.
Habby, is Ramesh does he come home fuming at night because of this? Come a little bit closer to the microphone.
Yes, he does. I mean, every time we're out in the car as well, and he's standing there, he really gets cross.
And you've seen it?
Oh, I have seen it, yes. I don't drive to Bury Park because it's disgusting.
Really?
Yes, because we have to stand in the car traffic behind, waiting for the bus, for the passenger to get on the bus before they can move. The bus stop should be taken inside the curb so there's enough room for other traffic to flow swiftly.
Realistically though, is there anything that could actually be done to make that traffic move better?
Well, a little while ago they were trying to fix their road. They brought the curve higher or lower, I can't remember. But instead of doing that, why didn't they take them inside? Because they had already started the work.
Well, we're joined by Councillor Dave Taylor, who can speak to us now. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning,
Dave. So nothing has changed. Nothing's been improved.
Yeah, no, nothing has changed at all. There are no real problems. One thing I noticed when I saw the information that you gave, that buses are stopping in the middle of the road to load and unload passengers. That's not the case. They're stopping at the curb, they're stopping at the bus stops to load and unload passengers.
Well, you're saying there's no problem, Dave, but I've got two people here. Habby, tell Dave what the problem... Sorry, you can't hear. Please put those headphones on. I do apologise. And Ramesh, if you put those on. Habby, Dave is saying there is no problem. Buses aren't stopping in the middle of the road. You tell Dave what the problem is.
Have you gone to Bury Park? Have you stood behind the bus?
Yes, I'm down there on a regular basis, in the car and walking.
Yes, but the bus is standing there at the bus stop, letting the passenger on and off. The traffic is standstill. They can't take over the bus because there's oncoming traffic. What are you talking about? There's no problem.
Yeah, there isn't. I mean, there is congestion in Bury Park at particular times of the day.
Most of the time of the day, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, but that's nothing to do whatsoever with buses stopping to load and unload passengers.
We're talking about the traffic standing because the bus stops are not being taken inside like they were before.
Yeah, the reasons that when we did the refurbishment a few years ago, it was discovered that people were parking in the bus lay-bys all the time.
But then you need more traffic warden to tell them not to park in the bus lane.
Yeah, that's right, and we were doing that, but it's a battle that we couldn't win. The problem was that there was consistent parking in those lay-bys, so buses were...
So Dave,
they were stopping in the middle of the road to unload passengers.
Dave, you gave up then? You gave up then? There were people breaking the rules and you gave in to them?
You should find a solution for that.
It's constant. It's constant. What we're doing at the moment, that you're probably aware of, we're doing camera enforcement in certain areas around the gyratory.
But it's not
hang on a minute, Habby, let him finish.
And that is certainly solving the congestion problem around the Nadine Plaza because of indiscriminate parking. And I think that's part of the problem that you've got in Bury Park is cars indiscriminately parking all over the place. But I've watched the buses load and unload. Some stop for only a few seconds.
Dave, if cars are parking... Dave, if cars are parking where they shouldn't park... You slap tickets on them, you send them fines, you tow them away. That's what happens elsewhere in the country. Why is that such a problem where we are?
Yeah, I mean, we don't tow vehicles away. What we did.
Maybe you should. When I used to live in London, if you parked your car in the wrong place, you came back, your car wasn't there.
That's right. But if the vehicle is still there, it still stops the buses unloading and loading at the bus lay-by. It's not a problem. And I've looked at it several times. We've been over and over this again. It's a myth to say that buses stopping to load and unload passengers are causing traffic problems in Bury Park, because they're not.
OK, so, Habby, it's a myth. You are making this up. They are not causing traffic problems.
OK, next time we're on the bus, I'm going to time, see how long the bus is stopping at the bus stop, and then we'll come back on the radio and tell you. Because I don't come to Bury Park. The reason is I'm spending too long waiting in the bus. I'm not shopping.
Yeah.
Why can't we have a proper bus stops, my friend?
Yeah.
What Ramesh is asking, why can't we have proper bus stops?
Yeah, they are proper bus stops.
No, that's not proper. Why you want them big footpaths there? You know, the people can put their displays there. Why can't you move the bus stop into it?
The wider footpaths would help pedestrians.
But hang on, excuse me, sir. What pedestrian are you talking about? People, the shopkeeper putting their displays all over the footpath there. You can't even move in there.
No, they're not. No,
you haven't got the guts to tell them off or do anything.
No, we've done that. We've tackled that problem.
No, you haven't.
No, you haven't. I'm sorry, mate.
Dave, listen. Basically, at the end of the day, we've got two very unhappy customers here. We've got the Habby and Ramesh, who and I'm sure there are other people out there. And if there are, 08459 455 555. If you know this area of Luton, you can let us know what you think. Who are unhappy with the traffic build-up and the way this has been managed. But you're not going to do anything at all. You don't think there's a problem.
There are traffic problems in Bury Park, and it's usually due to the sheer volume of traffic. If you take out Eid and you take out when there's a football match, at peak times there is a problem with traffic. Yep.
Dave, listen, I appreciate you said you come back on, and you did, and I always respect someone who says that, so thank you very much for your time this morning.
Yep. OK, cheers.
Councillor Dave Taylor, we're running out of time very quickly in 20 seconds, Ramesh. Happy with that?
No, I'm not happy, no. He's talking rubbish.
Thank you for minding your language there. No, I know. Habby, you got 20 seconds. What would you like to say?
Just they're telling Pibs they're not doing anything about it. There's many issues in Bury Park, especially for the pedestrian as well, when there's loading and unloading. Mm-hmm. I've gone through there in front of one of the shops. I'm not naming any shops. There's only enough room for one person thin to get through because they got display this side, empty box this side. I have seen mothers with pushchair go into the road and walk to a crossover. He's talking nonsense. I'm sorry.
We have to end it. Thank you so much for coming, Habby and Ramesh. If you know this area, this stretch of road, what do you think? Do you agree with my two guests in the studio, or do you agree with Councillor Dave Taylor? 08459 455 555. Let's get... I'm still on the radio, you two, for goodness sakes, button it! Let's get the travel news now, shall we? Good morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. Finding the weather confusing at the moment. It was cold Sunday morning, then I put a coat on, then it got really hot. I take my coat off. I mean, it's not really an anecdote. I wouldn't open with that, but confusing weather. Lots coming up on the show between now and 8 o'clock. We're not launching military action in Syria, but should we be sending humanitarian aid? Would you, personally, give money to Syria? Values in the classroom. We're hearing stories about kids chucking rubbish everywhere, looking up to these people from Geordie Shore. Well, who should be teaching kids values? Is it teachers or is it the parents? And can anybody please explain to me how one man is worth £85 million? Getting loads of calls on Bury Park as well. Well, I talk about anything this morning. I'm not fussed. Facebook.com/BBC3CR. You can send me a text, 81333. Start your text 3CR. Or you can give me a call, 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Kind of on the subject of values, I've been watching Celebrity Big Brother because I done like it and stuff. And there's this girl in there, Charlotte, from Geordie Shore. What is she, 23? Something like that. She's a kid, really. And she's very attractive, she's very funny, she seems like a charming person some of the time, but then other times she seems like a horrible little... Well, broken Britain, I described her the other day. She thinks it's funny to get, like, not just drunk, but what do you call it, mortal. Here we get a mortal. Which just means crawling about on her hands and knees and collapsing, falling out of bed and weeing the bed. So, I've not seen this Geordie Shore. Apparently this is nothing compared to what else they get up to on there. If you've seen it, could you phone up, bearing in mind we have young ears listening for another 2 days, can you phone up and let me know what Geordie Shore is all about? Matt in Luton?
Hello?
Have you ever seen Geordie Shore?
No, I wouldn't watch that programme like you.
It sounds awful.
Well,
I'm tempted,
then again, it's parents, isn't it?
Yep, it's down to the parents. You can't hit them anymore, can you?
Well, I would.
Oh, what, the parents?
Either one.
Okay. Now, we're talking about Bury Park. We just had Ramesh and Habby in. The Councillor Dave Taylor saying there's no problem with the traffic and what goes on there. What do you think, Matt? Do you know the area?
Very well, yeah. I used to work in Bury Park years ago as a butcher.
Oh, yeah. The meat people.
We were allowed to go a metre outside the shop.
Yeah.
Now they're allowed to put their wares wherever they want.
These are the street displays that Dave Taylor was saying aren't a problem. They're not taking up too much of the street.
Well, Dave Taylor must go around with a white stick then.
Well, he'd bump into them if he were.
He's a disgrace, the guy.
Really?
Yeah. You go down there and open his eyes, and they get away with murder.
He seems very keen and very enthusiastic, and he seemed to honestly believe that there wasn't a problem there.
Ian, you're very keen, I'm very keen, but let's have rules for one and rules for everybody else.
So what?
You know what I'm saying now, don't you?
So what exactly have you seen there, Matt?
You walk down there, they're delivering their wares, like greengrocers, and they're halfway out, well, three-quarters way out the street. And I say, how can you do that? I've asked people. He said, well, we put our wares where we want. I said, well, we used to have a 1 metre was exactly 1 metre from your shop front, and that's all you were allowed, because it's pedestrian area. And now the buses, they can't get the buses cut in properly, so you're going to get congested.
He's going off on a slight but yet related tangent, Matt. Yeah. The thing, I was in London on Friday night. I hate London at night time, it's horrible. But I've noticed they're doing this in London and in other places where outside pubs, they kind of put barriers up outside pubs.
Yeah.
To kind of saying, oh, we're this pub, we're the St George, and we own this bit of the street. I think that's a little bit obnoxious, isn't it? Have you seen that?
No, but this is what's happening in Bury Park. We own this area.
Yep.
We'll do what we want. The council won't stop it because of you know why. They won't stop it, and it will never, ever change the rules.
What? Would you know why what?
Because they're all Asian shops, so they're all sticking together.
Well, hang on a second, Matt. Hang on a second. No. The couple we just had in, you may not have noticed, but they were an Asian couple.
I know. I'm an Irish person, and I will moan when I want to moan.
Okay,
and they're right.
Yes, but I don't think it's because they are all Asian shopkeepers that this is being allowed to happen. Is that what you think?
Sorry, Ian. Have you been to Bury Park lately?
Not lately, no.
Well, you ought to go down there and have a look. We used to have shops there, but it's now changed.
We used to have shops? What do you mean by we used to have shops?
Well, there was Dewhurst, Baxter's, Fred News, the greengrocers. We all had to adhere to the rules of the
And you're suggesting, because they are Asian, that they do not have to adhere to the rules?
Exactly. They don't adhere to the rules. So.
OK, Matt, I'm going to let you go. I don't think we can blame it all on the Asians, for goodness sakes. 08459 455 555. Shahid's in Luton. Good morning, Shahid.
Hi, Ian.
Good morning, Shahid. Bury Park, what are your thoughts?
Right, so I live in Milton Keynes, but I come into Bury Park to do some shopping more often than not, but I avoid it like the plague. And
why?
Purely because of the congestion. Doesn't matter what time of day I seem to hit it. When there's a bus going down there, you cannot get down Bury Park Road because of the traffic. And then if you do finally find parking in an approved day, where you pay for it and all that good stuff, which are very rare to come by anyway. When you get on the pedestrian stuff, you can't move for love because of the shopkeepers having all the stuff out. So I don't agree with what Dave was saying, that they resolved both issues, and there isn't an issue, because there is very clearly an issue for someone who comes from Milton Keynes.
So there are two issues here, both of which Councillor Dave Taylor has said aren't problems. One of the problems is buses stopping, and that causes traffic, it causes a build-up of traffic, and shopkeepers setting their wares and their signs and their things too far out in the pavement.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you heard Matt in Luton, who was just on the line. He seems to think it's one rule for us and another rule for them. I think he meant them being Asian shopkeepers.
Yeah, so I've got to disagree. I don't think it's one rule for us and them. It should be one rule for all, and the council need to sort this out, because there is going to be a serious incident there with a pedestrian, a mother, a child, a pram, a vehicle. It is going to be, because people do get frustrated in cars and pedestrians who can't get across. Somebody is going to have a serious incident down there.
Well, Shahid, let's hope that we're not reporting on that one day. Thank you very much, Shahid in Luton. Well, there we go. Two people, both very passionate. Actually, there is a problem, and it turns out the buses aren't the only problem. It's signs and shops displaying their wares far out into the street. If you know the area, 08459 455 555 is the telephone number. If you want to give me a call now. We were talking earlier on about two brothers from Luton who are using Facebook to urge people to send money to Syria. Well, given the fact that the US Secretary of State, John Kerry, says Washington has proof Damascus used sarin gas last month, and the Syrian government says any military action would amount to support for Al-Qaeda and its affiliates. Well, the Milton Keynes North East MP, Mark Lancaster, is also a member of the British Syria All-Party Parliamentary Group. Morning, Mark. Can you explain what that means? British Syria All-Party Parliamentary Group. What is that?
Well, I'm not actually a member of the All-Party Parliamentary Group. I used to be, but once I became a minister, you're not allowed to be a member of an all-party group. It's basically a series of groups in Parliament who show an interest in other countries around the world, and that's it, really.
We're asking this morning, would people send money to Syria? We've had a couple of texts, which I'll get to in a bit, but basically saying no. Should people be concerned about sending money to Syria?
Well, I suppose it depends how you would send it. I would suggest that it is a reasonable response for the United Kingdom as a government to be offering humanitarian support to refugees affected by the crisis. I've had some experience in refugee camps around the world in my former role when I was a shadow minister for international development, and they can be pretty grim places, and we've seen the horrors that are happening in Syria. So with so many displaced people now moving across into Jordan, I don't think it's unreasonable for the British government to support by offering tentage or accommodation of some form, food and shelter.
Were we right not to go in on a military level?
Well, certainly I voted that we should condemn the chemical weapons and that we should wait for the UN inspectors to report and that we should follow the UN process, and only then should we have a further vote about military intervention. I think at the moment, as time has gone on, I feel sort of quite confident that I made the right decision.
What I don't understand about the vote, the cards on the table, I'm supposed to be vaguely impartial, the cards on the table is I don't think we should go in on a military level. But the question last week, if I'm right, ended with the words, if necessary. And surely the answer to any question that ends if necessary is yes, isn't it?
No, it's not at all, but I think what we have to be very careful about is that motion was very clear that we could not go in without a further vote, and I think some people forget that. But at the same time, when you have a dictator like President Assad, who is so ruthless that he's prepared to gas his own population, and then I think the last thing we should be doing is sending a message to President Assad, do you know what, you can do just what you want, whatever you want, and nothing will ever happen to you under any circumstances. Certainly from my own experience as serving as a soldier in Kosovo, in Bosnia, and in Afghanistan, I would be very loath to commit ground troops, but I think what that motion did last week was exactly the right thing, which was to say we will follow the UN process, do everything we can under the international agreements that we have. We certainly condemn the use of chemical weapons, but ultimately we won't do anything unless there's conclusive proof and crucially, a further vote of the House of Commons. It was a balance.
Isn't this a chance for Britain to kind of lead the way. If we can't go in, as we can't now, on a military level, if we flood that area with humanitarian aid, A, it would help, the million or so people that have been displaced and would be a great thing to do. But B, on a purely selfish level, it would make us look good, wouldn't it?
Well, it's not so much about making us look good.
No, it's of course it's not, but it's a nice little byproduct of us doing that.
Well, okay, fine. I mean, listen, I think ultimately, after what happened 10 years ago with the way that the then government forced through and effectively misled, I think, many feel, Parliament, David Cameron, to his credit, I think, is trying to do the right thing, but do it in the right way. And we've seen that over the last few days. I mean, what people don't realise, of course, is that the British government is already giving aid, not to Syria, but certainly to the humanitarian relief in that region. I mean, millions of pounds have been given to date. It's interesting how sometimes we have sort of debates on the radio saying that the UK should not be giving money in overseas aid, that DFID budget is too high, and yet now in recent days I think we begin to see exactly why we do have a DFID budget, so that we can offer humanitarian support in situations such as this.
Mark Lancaster, Milton Keynes North MP, thank you very much indeed. Well, two questions, I guess, off the back of this. Would you personally give money to Syria? Have you seen any of the pictures? What's going on there? I mean, I think it is something like 1 million people have been displaced. It's an incredible amount, however many it is. Would you give money to Syria? And should the British government go in? We can't go in with guns and the battleships and things like that, so should we just chuck a load of money in humanitarian aid? It'll be hard to argue against that, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? 7:16, BBC Three Counties Radio, 08459 455 555. So a month ago, we had a call from Ramesh, who was worried about buses stopping in the middle of the road in Luton's Bury Park. He told us the area is gridlocked daily, and bus passengers are risking their lives whenever they get on or off. Well, Ramesh came in this morning with his wife, Habby, and another problem transpired, that shops are putting signs out and putting their kind of stuff out, and that it's taking up a lot of the pavement. So there are two issues. Buses stopping, gridlocking the area, and shops putting stuff out and taking up loads of the pavement. Well, we spoke to the councillor responsible for this, Dave Taylor. He said, no, it's a myth. No problem at all. Not a problem in the slightest. Everything is fine. Just calm down. There are more important things, not a problem at all. Well, we've had a couple of callers who said, no, there is a problem. Both the buses and the signage is a real problem. If you know the area, 08459 455 555. Dave's in Luton. Morning, Dave.
Good morning, Ian.
Dave, what do you believe Councillor Dave Taylor, or do you believe that the other callers we've had, that there is a problem?
A few months ago, I met Mr. Taylor with Justin at Sundon Park. So the issue at Sundon Park, the traffic lights.
Yes.
Right. We were talking there, after we went off the air, we were talking there to Mr. Taylor, and we said about Bury Park. And he said, that's a nightmare. Now he's saying it's a myth. The thing regarding Bury Park, and we suggested, when the buses down from Dunstable, before they enter Bury Park, the passengers should get off of there and on. The same as Lee Grave Road. They should get on and off. Now, when the buses move away and go through Bury Park, at the other end, they've got the Sainsbury's where the buses pull in. They used to have, coming from Luton, they used to have by the Odeon Cinema, the old Odeon Cinema, a pull-in. And we said, why didn't you build that recess there, back again, like the one you got at Sainsbury's, and cut the two bus stops up in the middle of in Bury Park, where the buses are stopping in the middle of the road, to make people walk. Why have 3 bus stops in a vicinity of about, a quarter, well, it's not even a quarter of a mile.
What's the problem it's causing with the traffic, Dave?
When it comes down from Dunstable or Lee Grave, or coming in from Luton, it's the middle bus stops in the middle of Bury Park. They're situated right on the road, so the bus pulls up.
It's stopping all the traffic, is it?
And you can't overtake the bus because they put these kind of things in the middle of the road.
I know.
The stonework.
Yeah.
You can't go over them. It's law. You mustn't go over them.
I know those.
Right. So those 2 bus stops.
Yes.
Where they've got them situated, take them away, so make people walk. They've all got to get on at the Odeon or get off at the Sainsbury's or get off at Dunstall Road before they enter Bury Park. And
Dave,
take away the bus stops.
Dave, just to move on, if we are running out of time, have you noticed that the shop fronts encroaching on the pavement?
They have been doing, and I'll tell you what, how they're getting away with that down there, I don't know, because it's supposed to be, it's the law to put items out from your shop window onto the path.
Well, Dave, listen, thank you very much for that. Well, I think we need to get Dave Taylor back on again. I think we need to collect all of these opinions together, put them together. I've got an email here from Trevor. The main problem with driving through Bury Park is down to the incompetent council and their traffic management department. In my honest opinion, the fools should be sacked without compensation. Years ago, it was a lovely wide drive-through, and yes, the buses also used to stop there. Until the stupid councillors accept that both their officers and council members are not fit for purpose, glad I do not live there. Right, what we need to do, one day, we need to get Dave Taylor back, I think, because we're hearing so many people saying that he's talking nonsense. And I like Dave. He comes on the air when he says he will, and you've got to respect him for that. One morning, we need to get Justin down there, we need to get Dave Taylor down there, and we need to get a couple of people who are upset, I think, with the situation. Producer Catherine, you have the power to make that happen.
I'll make it happen.
There we go, you see. She really does. 08459 455 555. Hey, when it comes to teaching your kids the values of life, whose responsibility is it? I fear far too many parents leave it down to the telly. They get it from the telly, so they see some idiot from Geordie Shore puking up and wetting the bed and doing worse, I believe. And the kids go, oh, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I know. Oh, yeah, that's cool. We'll have some of that. We'll have a little bit of that. Well, a report out today from the Jubilee Centre for Character and Values says... Sorry, I was trying to do a complicated hand mime while I was reading that. For the Jubilee Centre for Character and Values says 80% of parents believe schools should teach children character and values alongside academic study. Well, Sue Atkins is a parenting expert and author of Parenting Made Easy. She joins me now. Good morning, Sue.
Yes, good morning.
Now, you used to be a deputy head teacher as well.
I did.
What's your experience of teaching values in schools?
Well, I used to be head of the PSHE, which is the personal social health part of as well, the sort of pastoral care. Mm-hmm. Well, teachers do this all the time, don't they? We all do, actually, consciously and unconsciously, pass on our values to our kids. Most of the time, when I work with parents, I make them start there, actually, to sort of elicit, what are your values? What are you trying to teach your kids long term? Because otherwise, we talk about tolerance, and then someone cuts us across, you know, on the roundabout, and we swear and carry on. So our kids actually see that action rather than our words when we're talking about being kind and being empathetic and being tolerant.
Should it be a lesson, Sue, or should it be just what we absorb from watching people around us at work and play?
It's a bit of both, isn't it? Because all the time we're teaching our values. I've written a blog today about it, but I wrote another one a long time ago about being a role model to our kids. And I said, what is, David Beckham, and how can you be a superhero to your kids? And where do your children learn their values? Like you say, do they watch it from the telly and pick that up and think that's okay to be cruel or to be silly or to be behaving like that? Or do they learn it from us? Well, clearly from the first, from the very beginning they learn it from us. Then they go to school, and hopefully the school and the home are singing from the same song sheet. And then, of course, they go on to sort of learning and challenging when they get into the teenage years. They challenge your values and your beliefs just to find out whether they are really their own.
Should parents be doing more? I'm sure that there are lots of parents, I'd like to consider myself to be one of those, that is doing my best to make my children well-rounded and be aware of different people's values and thoughts and religions and things. But I would imagine there are some parents who do just plonk their kids in front of EastEnders and they absorb it all from there.
Well, yes, and they observe the parent, so, whatever you're doing, the child is learning from you and the way you speak to them about different things. For example, when I was a teacher up in New Addington, I remember, a child got hit or something, and the next day came into school, and the value from the parent was, well, if he does that again, you smack him in the face. And the school was trying to explore this whole thing about, well, you don't lash out with your hands when you have a challenge or a difficulty. Try and do it with your words, walk away, look at different strategies. So, of course, you've got set up there of two kind of conflicting values for the child. So, but if we all sing from the same song sheet, and then the child gets the best benefit, don't they?
If the parent is a thug or scum...
Oh, gosh, that's terrible. terrible. You can't say that.
I can, Sue. You don't need to. But is there any hope for the child?
Children learn all the time. They're not just learning from you. They learn also from important role models like an auntie or an uncle or a friend or a child's mum and dad. So they eventually make up their own ways of behaving. But of course, initially, this is why it's so crucial that you do learn it from your parents first, and you do learn it from the important role models like your teachers or the school or your religious values.
When kids, I don't know if you're aware, Sue, but a football player has been sold for £85 million.
Am I aware? I'm a Chelsea fan.
Oh.
So, yes, I'm aware, and I think 86 million is quite obscene, don't you think?
When kids see that, though, what must that teach them about values and worth?
Well, that is exactly my point when I tweeted it out yesterday. What are we becoming? Why is football, which is a great sport, and I love it, but it is only a game, although people will say it's more than a game. But, yeah, what are we teaching children? Now, of course, I go into a lot of schools teaching confident classes for kids. I also go in and teach anti-bullying classes as well, actually, in schools. And I look at their aspirations and I talk to them about their goals. And a lot of children, now that X Factor's back again, aspire to, turning up and thinking that despite millions of kids turning up singing, that they are going to be the one that will win the prize and be the X Factor winner, or they'll marry a footballer. And surely we have to teach children to have, and why that's fun and in perspective, and I love watching it at times, we need to empower our children to have a belief in themselves, have self-confidence, so to go on to achieve whatever they want to achieve, whether that's become a plumber or a lawyer or whatever it might be, and that hard work, tenacity, respect and tolerance are things that, getting up and having another go is an important value to teach children too, that it doesn't always happen quickly and easily, and to be very successful in whatever given field you are, you have to work very hard.
So you mentioned your blog. Do you want to give it a quick plug?
Yes, it's thesueatkins.com, and I blog every day on all sorts of issues, and today it'll be about values.
Fantastic. So nice to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed. 08459 455 555. Can anybody explain to me how this man is worth £85 million? I do not get it. No one can be worth that amount of money, surely. 7:29 BBC Three Counties Radio. Let's get the latest travel news now with Chris Humphrey.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. It's 7:33, even more incredibly, it's the 2nd of September. Happy Christmas, guys. Coming up between now and 8 o'clock. Well, we will be speaking about Christmas, actually. We'll be finding out what's happening to the Christmas lights in Luton, and we'll also be taking your phone calls, 08459 455 555. Now, last week on the programme, I was talking about Dial-A-Ride, the coordinator of the services in Luton, which was withdrawn 3 weeks ago now. Was annoyed because he said the council had made it look like the decision was their fault. Dave Barrett came onto the programme critical of comments from the leader of Luton Borough Council, Hazel Simmons, who said they were irresponsible to take the service away. Well, I suggested they should sit down and just put all of the bureaucracy to one side and just meet up and have a chat. I even said I'd pay. I'm not giving them the money yet. Oh, but that's the wrong thing. Let's. That audio isn't there, so we shall skip that. Well, after my intervention, they did go and have a coffee last Friday. We can find out how it went. Dave Barrett from Dial-A-Ride joins me in the studio. Morning, Dave.
Morning, Ian.
The meeting happened. I was surprised. What happened? Did you kind of coffee, and was it awkward? Was it uncomfortable?
It was about as simple as you were making it out to be when you put out the invitation. Two people met in a quiet coffee arena in Luton, and they sat down and they shook hands and they had a very friendly chat for over an hour. No croissants, but the coffee flowed.
Have you got the receipts? Because I'll fill you in for that. And so what happened? Did you get straight down to business?
We did. We got straight down to business, and you never know how much time you've got when you've got a one-to-one with a leader of a council. So you've got to make the most of that time, and that's what I tried to do. But Hazel was absolutely terrific. She listened to everything that I had to say. I was able to make every single point that I wanted to make about what had happened and what could happen and things. things like this. And she took copious notes and was rather surprised by a number of the things that I told her. Some of the information that she possibly received, it's Chinese whispers. It gets diluted as it goes up in an organisation, and then you talk to the person at the top. They say, I didn't realise it was quite like that. So it was very, very useful discussion indeed.
This is very exciting because I do think this is part of the problem, that things get lost in emails, things get lost in letters, phone calls to an assistant that then goes up to the next in command and then to the next. You're right, it is Chinese whispers, and I think a lot of information and a lot of passion can get lost. Was she responsive to your suggestions and your issues that you raised?
Well, I don't think she was in a position to be responsive, Ian, to be honest, because, she can't make decisions in isolation. She's got to go and talk to her officers at various levels in the organisation, and that's what she promised to do. And, I believe that she will, because she actually took the whole thing extremely seriously. And I kind of... I was told before I went to wear a crash helmet, and a book down my trousers just in case, because Hazel's got a bit of a reputation, but none of that was there at all.
Well, she's
very
tough,
friendly.
but that's kind of what you want. Someone who's tough.
Yeah, and she, I say, it was a great two-way, and we parted absolute friends, super job.
For those who don't know, Dial-A-Ride in Luton has been cancelled. You have a little sip of water, of course you can. Has been off air, so to speak, for 3 weeks. Describe what it does, how it works, and how important it is to people.
We're a transport service aimed at helping the elderly and disabled who find it difficult to use public transport. So, a quarter of the people who used our transport in Luton were in wheelchairs, and they've got very little alternative. There is ideas to use taxis to move these people around in the future, but I'd be very, very concerned about the safety aspects of using taxis. And I can go into that in detail with the people who, in due course. But my mum's in a wheelchair. Getting someone who's in a wheelchair in and out of a car, or is even especially adapted cars, it can be tricky. Well, it can. All our vehicles, Ian, are tailor-made for the job.
Yeah.
And, for either people who want to be more independent and walk up the steps at the side, or if they can't do that, then in the tail lifts at the back, and they're all equipped that way. So it's a very, very safe means of travel for, the figures, you've been quoting the figures, 22,000 journeys a year at the time in Luton. So, it's a sadly missed service. You've had a lot of phone calls here. Our phones have been the same as well. It's a sadly missed service, and we were sorry to have to pull out, but, the reasons that we did were very clear.
And it is a very important part of their life. We take it for granted that I can walk to the shops, I can jump on a bus, I can jump in my car if I fancy it. For a lot of people, those things aren't an option at all, are they?
Well, you and I can go wherever we want, whenever we want. How would I have got into this studio at 7:30 if I was in a wheelchair, from where I live? It wouldn't have been easy. So, yes, the service is not ideal in that you have to plan ahead a couple of days, but many of the people who use our service do have routines. I always go to the hairdressers on a Tuesday, and I always go to Sainsbury's every other Thursday, and that's those are the routines they get into. We get used to those routines, and we, as Hazel was saying,
you go to the hairdresser every other Thursday, were you saying? I would suggest you save your money, sir.
You have to pay a search fee when I go. No, but... one thing that Hazel commented on, actually, I don't want to go into any detail, but she did comment on that she began to realise this wasn't just a Dial-A-Ride. This was actually a social service that, the ladies who go to Sainsbury's all go on the same day because they want to go together with their friends, and if one of them can't go, they'll probably go another day so they can all go together. And there's all the chat on the bus that goes on in the meantime, and it's almost like the old milkman, if your milk doesn't get picked up at the door for a couple of days, you realise something's wrong. And we have the same kind of thing. We've actually had that situation where somebody has actually been collapsed inside the house, and we've been able to raise alarms and get help for them.
It's community, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Which we're all crying out for, apparently, but we seem to be eroding it. Has Hazel given you any time plan? Do you know when you're going to speak to her again?
No, I don't. There was no pressure. It was quite clear that she was determined to go away and talk to her people. She's got to do that. She came in off of annual leave, actually.
Well done for her,
which was terrific. She took it seriously, so I'll just trust her with that, and we'll see what happens.
Well, listen, I know I was very naughty springing it on both of you.
Yes,
I've been told off
yes,
air. I've been told off. Sometimes I think when it's not normally my style to spring things on people, but sometimes when it's as important as this, then I think that it's worth just kind of pushing the bureaucracy to one side. Dave, listen, really nice to see you. Hopefully we'll be able to speak again in the future and have some positive news. It's Dave Barrett from Dial-A-Ride, and thank you as well. We'll be speaking to Hazel about the Christmas lights, and I will say this to her, but I think it was a big thing for her she could have rightly told me to get stuffed, and I think it was a big thing for her to turn up and have a chat. And
have you got that tenner, by the way?
If you see my team through there, Dave, they're in charge of all the finances. Thank you very much, Dave. Speak to you soon. Take care. Dave Barrett there from Dial-A-Ride. 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Who taught you the values of life? Your parents or your teachers? It was your parents, right? Wasn't it? Wasn't it? Of course it was. Well, a report out today from the Jubilee Centre for Character and Values says 80% of parents believe it should be schools teaching our children character and values. Well, our very polite and respectful reporter is Ms. Kelly Betts. Good morning, Ms. Betts.
Oh, good morning.
Now, you've been out asking people who they think should be teaching our children the values of life. What's been the general reaction, mate?
Mate, well, the general reaction is that it should be parents, which is pretty obvious.
Well, thanks very much for coming on the air.
No,
now,
anytime, mate.
Oh, do you want to, have you got any audio for me to play?
Yeah, it's there. Press play, mate.
Wow.
Hello, we're talking about values this morning. Who should be teaching our children the values of life? Should it be parents or should it be teachers?
Parents, definitely parents.
Are you a parent yourself?
No, I'm not.
But you feel that it is the parents' responsibility?
It is, definitely.
And how do you feel about the 80% of people who are saying that it's the teacher's responsibility?
I don't agree with that. I think it's the parents that should teach their children values.
Yes, it's parents that are supposed to teach their children, because they learn from home. The parents spend more time than the teachers.
Are you a parent yourself?
Yes, I am.
And what sort of values do you teach your children?
Well, good values, to respect their elders and to be nice to their pair of mates, to be clean first, to make sure their rooms are really clean.
Should it be parents or should it be school teachers? What do you think?
Parents. I'd say parents, due to the fact that they're the ones who brought the kids into the world, so it's their priority to raise them well.
Are there any values that you've been taught in life that you could share with us?
To respect your elders, work hard. It's just general things, really.
And was it your parents who taught you values?
Yeah, I suppose so, when you think about it. Same as obviously you have other people around you, like whether it be parents, teachers, colleagues. But your main prize obviously be your parents, I suppose.
How about you? Do you think it should be parents or teachers?
Parents, definitely, because you're the one who lives with the kids, so they'll learn from you. Even if they go to school, yes, they'll help them, but not like as parents.
And what are the values in life that you would pass on to your children?
Just to teach them to respect the elders.
Excellent stuff, Kelly. I'm confused as to why you were strangling that first woman in the report, but you're
I was just being polite. It's what she asked for.
You're kind of the lost generation, aren't you? In that you have no manners. You're out drinking Alco Pops every night, binge drinking. You are broken Britain.
I'm following your example.
Have you got any values that you could pass on to the listeners?
Of course. Treat others how you would like to be treated, and never lie because you will get caught out. But white lies are okay, like, hey, great shirt today, Ian, looks really nice. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
What about you? What are your values that you'll pass on to your children?
Just be nice. Try and be nice.
I am.
No, hang on.
Oh, sorry. So carry on.
Just try and be as nice as you can to people, and if you make mistakes, learn from them.
That's good. I like that. Thanks.
Yeah. Have you ever seen Geordie Shore?
No.
Thanks very much, Kelly Betts. 08459 455 555. When is Justin back?
Next week, I think.
Have we got Kelly all week?
Yeah. Do you want to hear my words of wisdom?
We've got 40 seconds to fill.
If in doubt, do now.
He who smelt it, dealt it.
You denied it, supplied it.
You did the rhyme, you did the crime.
Oh, not good.
Coming up, we'll be talking about Luton's Christmas lights. I know. Before that, though, I'm speaking slowly so that the weather gets queued up. No weather, so I'm gonna hit the button and we're just gonna keep our fingers crossed. I hit the button knowing full well that Elizabeth Rizzini was not there. I'll give her 20 seconds grace. If she doesn't turn up in the next 20 seconds, then not only is she fired, then everybody working on this show is fired. Oh, Elizabeth, are you there? Elizabeth?
Hello.
Your job is safe. just.
Good. Oh, were you going to do it for me?
Sorry. Oh, the weather. No, carry on. Away you go.
Weather. Okay. Well, it's going to be a lovely day today.
Thank you very much indeed. Excellent. Oh, no, that doesn't work. I do like Nick Coffer, and he's a cracking listen, but, I mean, really, someone needs to sort his wardrobe out, don't they? Don't they? I mean, really. Now, you remember a while back we had told you that this year's Christmas lights in Luton were under threat because the council were not sure whether they had enough money to fund them. Well, they've been saved by one of the biggest employers in Luton, EasyJet. The airline has provided sponsorship for the lights, along with the Love Luton campaign. Joining me now is the leader of Luton Borough Council, Hazel Simmons. Morning, Hazel.
Good morning, Ian.
These lights have been going, I think, for about 20 years.
They have.
What was the problem? Why were we going to lose them this year?
Well, as you know, the council have been heavily cut in finances by the government, and we've had to look at all areas of our budget to reduce our costs by a phenomenal amount of money. And this was one of the areas, unfortunately, that got cut.
How much do Christmas lights cost? I've got no idea. I know in my house they cost a fortune. I imagine for a whole town, it's a ridiculous price.
It costs us about £13,000 to £15,000 a year.
It is a lot of money when everyone's struggling a little bit. Are you happy that a company, EasyJet, have stepped in to help out?
Oh, it's fantastic that EasyJet has stepped in to pay for the Christmas lights. They're an integral part to the Lighting Up Luton event, and so we're really, really grateful to them for this.
Is it true they're going to be orange?
No, not all of them, no.
Not all of them? What percentage is orange, Hazel?
I have no idea. We always have orange lights anyway.
Oh, very, very tactfully done. Maybe this could be a way forward, maybe getting the businesses to come in and sponsor other things that perhaps are, we're having to miss out on because of austerity.
Well, certainly some events like this, and we've always had sponsorship from our business community. Anyway, they are very supportive of the town, and in fact do sponsor the Lighten Up Luton event anyway, and I'm grateful to all the sponsors that work with us on these events.
And people might say, well, come on guys, it's only Christmas lights, but it is things like Christmas lights and other things like that do make us feel a little bit special, don't they? It's this sense of community.
Yes, they do, and Christmas is a special time, particularly for young children, so we're very, very grateful to them for helping us out this year.
Now, Hazel, listen, I hear you have been an excellent sport, and I want to say a big thank you to you. I kind of ambushed you a couple of weeks ago, asking you to meet up with Dave from Dial a Ride for a coffee, and I know you were a little bit reluctant, but we've had Dave in, and he is very chuffed to say that you met, that you spoke to him for over an hour, and you listened. How did you find it?
It was a very amicable meeting, and I took down a lot of notes, and obviously we'll go away and look at that. Yes, it was a reasonable meeting, and we had a nice cup of coffee.
Well, there you go. I hope you've kept your receipts. If you have, I will give you the money, as I said. Can you give us any heads up as to what the result might be yet, or is it too early?
No, it's too early.
OK, well, listen, I want to say thank you from me and my listeners for being a very good sport, and you could have told me to jog on, and you very politely accepted, and I believe you came back off your holiday to meet up as well. So thank you very much, Hazel. It's appreciated.
OK, thanks, Ian.
Thank you, Hazel. There we go, you see. Hazel Simmons. Not often Hazel and I kind of get to shake hands. We quite often lock heads instead. But I think when she came off her holiday, she met up with Dave, as she said, after I ambushed her on the air. And I think that has to be respected. I think you've got to, say well done for that. Hazel Simmons there, leader of Luton Borough Council. And the Christmas lights will be going ahead, sponsored by EasyJet. I do like Christmas lights. I know some of them look a little bit ropey, but I do like Christmas. Should I stop talking about Christmas now? Yes, I will. OK. 08459 455 555 is the phone number. Loads of you have been talking about the road in Bury Park on Facebook. Loads of you have been having your say on it. Let's get some of your comments on this. It's funny, isn't it? We throw out all these things like Syria and all these kind of things, and the one you go for is a road in Bury Park. Michael says, the roads in Bury Park, it is the volume of traffic, not the buses, that are the problem. And the pavement clutter is getting worse because of the changes in the way the new shop owners operate. Jane says, in response to Dave Taylor, why the general public never believed? Surely people who use the roads and pavements know the problems. 08459 455 555. If you know the stretch of road in Bury Park, problems with buses? And the new problem seems to be shops having their frontage encroaching in the public arena. We'll send Justin out maybe next week with the councillor and a couple of people who've complained, and a shopkeeper and the cuddly toy, and we'll see if we can spot anything. He can check out the overhang, can't he? Front page of the newspapers. The Daily Telegraph. Back to the classroom for pupils with a D in English. Thousands of teenagers who failed to achieve a grade C in their English and Maths GCSE exams last month will be forced to continue studying and resit the tests when returning to school this month. Really? Michael Gove, the Education Secretary, said last night that young people must be able to demonstrate their understanding of these subjects. This year is the first in which teenagers will have to remain in school until they are 17. The school-leaving age will rise again to 18 in 2015. Pupil age 16 will no longer be able to drop maths or English. What if you're just no good at maths or English? Some people aren't. Some people just can't take to them, and they're going to be forced to retake them. And you have to stay in school until you're 18? You guys, kids is losing out. Pressure on Cameron for new vote on Syria strikes, said the Telegraph. David Cameron was last night under increasing pressure to return to Parliament for another vote on British military action against Syria after the Americans postponed missile strikes for at least a week. Lord Howard, a former Conservative leader, Sir Malcolm Rifkind, a former Foreign Secretary, and Lord Ashdown led calls to vote again. Oh, no, we've had the vote, guys. You didn't get the response you wanted. Tough, isn't it? We had the vote. You lose. Next. And there's a picture of David Frost, who died at the weekend. I don't think it's anything to do with the relaunched Through the Keyhole. I don't think it's anything to do with that at all, whatever anybody says. The Guardian, David Frost, that was the life that was. Clever. How long did it take them to come up with that one? Sarin nerve gas used by Syria, says Kerry. US could go ahead with bombing of regime, even if Congress votes against it. The Independent, David Frost, 1939 to 2013. So bright, with extraordinary memory, full of initiative and a remorseless networker. I was once carrying my nephew, Dylan. This was, he was a baby. I had him on one of those baby harness things. I was carrying him, a Live 8. And David Frost came up to me, lovely looking baby. The baby, it's my nephew. Oh, lovely looking baby. And he wandered off. That's my David Frost story. Can't go any more than that, I'm afraid. The Times, David Frost. Who Peter Cook hated. Peter Cook loathed David Frost. Oh, he hated. When asked what Peter Cook's biggest regret was, he said, because they went to school together, he said it was saving David Frost from drowning at school. Well, he nicked David Frost. That was the week that was nicked from Peter Cook, basically. But it's still a fantastic programme and a great loss. Put Syria action back on table, PM is told. No, you lost the vote. You lost the vote. You can't just go back and have another vote. That was the life that was, Daily Mail. Well done. David Frost dies, age 74. Sold for £5, your personal details. Councils cash in on names and addresses, fueling junk mail blitz. I've come to the conclusion about junk mail. Everyone says, oh, junk mail. Oh, I hate it. Oh, it ruins my life. It's not that much of a hassle, really, is it, junk mail? Just pick it up and put it in the bin. That's all you have to do. Sorry. Just pick it up, put it in the recycling box. That's all you have to do. In the great scheme of things, getting through letters about insurance, about pizzas, and about we've just sold a house like yours in your street, not really. When you see what's happening in Syria, you think, not really that bad. I can live with that. Town halls are raking in money by selling lists of voters' names and addresses for as little as £5 a time. Daily Express. Natural new look for tousle-haired Kate. Okay. And high dose of statins can beat dementia. Where do they get every day? Dementia, Alzheimer's, arthritis, cancer. They've got a cure for all these things, yet they still keep happening. I would suggest, Daily Express, your cures are nothing. And The Sun, the footy chief exclusive, sting in the tail. Bet's shamed footy boss Gordon Taylor was last night blasted by... Then you go to the back page and there's a picture of this Gareth Bale. My Madrid dream has come true. £86 million deal sparks transfer frenzy. Hey, it's the last day of the transfer window, guys, and trust me, we're really not going to be paying any attention to that at all today. £86 million for this footballer. Nobody has been able to call in. Two things I've asked for today, none of you have been able to help with. How can £86 million be justified for a football player? We're going to get our sports correspondent on the show, Jeff, a bit later on. And also, well, wake him up. I don't care. Wake him up. And also, has anybody seen this atrocious programme, Geordie Shore? Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. It's the 2nd of September. I'm going to keep saying it until about the 8th of September. I find it shocking we're in September. Summer is over. Yes, we have a nice week of weather ahead of us, but we are officially in autumn. Merry Christmas, guys! Coming up between now and JVS at 9 o'clock, we're not launching military action into Syria. Should we send money instead? If you've seen those pictures of what's been going on, are you a bit cold-hearted? Nay, soulless? If you don't agree we should be sending money in humanitarian aid? 08459 455 555. After producer Catherine Boyle's mum had a go at some kids who are dropping litter, we've sent our reporter Kelly Betts out to drop some litter. I think it's within the BBC Charter. I think there's ways around it. She might pick it up again. And asking if anybody would have a go. And between now and 9, we desperately try and find out how one man related to the Batman could be worth £86 million. Facebook.com/BBC3CR. You can send me a text, 81333. Start your text 3CR. You can give me a call, 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Two brothers from Luton have set up a Facebook campaign to raise money for the people of Syria. At the top of the Save Syria UK page, you'll find a bank account number and a sort code, which, according to Ali Khan, who joined me earlier in the studio, will channel funds towards the relief effort for civilians caught up in the crisis. But with all the political toing and froing, coupled with claims Al-Qaeda is heavily involved in the area, would you send money to Syria, and should our government be sending money? Joined now by Gareth Owen, who is from Save the Children, which has called this the worst humanitarian crisis for a generation. Good morning, Gareth. When you hear about small campaigns like this, do they hamper the campaigns of bigger organisations like yours?
Not at all. I mean, I applaud any effort to try and help people in Syria. The reality is that after 2.5 years, the conflict there has taken an enormous toll on children and their families. I mean, many of us will have seen pictures from last week of schools being targeted, and a school should be a place where children feel safe. As many children in this country are now going back to school this week, that people should dwell on the fact that 4,000 schools in Syria are now out of action. And so any efforts to help those people is applauded by me.
What work is being done specifically by Save the Children out there?
Well, Save the Children has been working throughout the region since the start of the conflict and before. So we have teams of staff all over the region. We have staff inside Syria at great risk to themselves. We have partners working throughout Syria. And what we need really is a much bigger aid operation, because while the political machinations continue, the reality is that the people on the ground are running out of time. They're desperate for this war to stop. They're desperate for their children to go to school. And that's where we come in. So we're able to keep some schools open. We're able to set up temporary schools. We're providing food, water, health, all the things that people need in the midst of an unending tragedy, really.
I'm always amazed by people from charities and other organisations, news agencies as well, who are in places like Syria. What are the members of your team actually able to do within the country itself?
They're able to do a lot. I mean, we are moving around the country. We're moving aid in and out of the country, into the neighbouring countries. But the reality is that it's a big challenge. It's an active war zone. It's extremely dangerous. Our staff do come under threat, and we have to manage their safety carefully. But what we really need is every soldier on every checkpoint to respect international law. International law is clear that the unimpeded access to humanitarian assistance for people in a conflict is written into law. So we need all sides in this to respect that more than they're doing today. We need all the neighbouring countries to allow and to facilitate and to help move aid across their borders into Syria, because it's only in this way that we can offer hope. People need hope in Syria. They need hope that the world outside cares enough about them to find a way to bring this to an end. And in the meantime, they need us to assist them to bring about anything that alleviates their terrible suffering.
Is the UK government doing enough, do you think, Gareth?
The UK government is doing an awful lot, but we would call on all governments to put more pressure internationally to try and find the political solution that this needs. Now, we've been calling for that for 2 years, and it's a desperately difficult situation, as we are aware. So in the meantime, we just simply must scale up the aid operation.
Gareth, it's very bleak, but hopefully with people like you helping, it can make it a little bit better. That's Gareth Owen from Save the Children, which is called the crisis in Syria, the worst humanitarian crisis for a generation. Well, what do you think? Would you give money to Syria? I've deliberately avoided lots of the pictures from Syria, particularly of the gas attacks. I've had them described to me. I don't need to see dead children frozen in agony to understand what that looks like. I don't need to see the schools being bombed to appreciate what that might look like. But would you give money to Syria? Should the British government give money to Syria? We had a text earlier on, and I've forgotten who it's from, I do apologise, but saying, the trotting out that line that charity begins at home. You know, that there are people suffering here, that we should do more here. Well, there are people suffering here, of course. I would suggest they're not suffering anywhere nearly as badly as the kids in Syria are suffering. 08459 455 555.
Text 81333.
Start your message with 3CR.
Text will be charged at the standard network rate.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
As you know, I'm not a huge football fan. I struggle with understanding the hows and the whys. But one story that has gone from the back pages to the front pages is Gareth Bale, who signed for Real Madrid last night for £86 million. £86 million. What a contrast between that story and this. I don't understand how anybody could be worth that much money. Well, Steve Curry is a sports reporter from the Daily Mail. Joins me now. Morning, Steve.
Good morning.
£86 million. Explain it to me. I just don't get it.
Well, this is Real Madrid style, and always has been. They're famous for their Galacticos, as they call them, the big-name players. They always go for the player of the moment. They're a subsidised club. They're subsidised by the banks, by various organisations. They can afford that amount of money, so they pay it. It is all about supply and demand. They want the best players. They always have done down the years, right back to the days of Alfredo Di Stefano, many, many years ago, before your time, probably, and certainly just a little bit before mine. But there's a whole succession of Beckhams and Gareth Bale is just the latest of those.
Why is Gareth...
It is an extraordinary amount of money. There is a bit of dispute about the actual amount.
Right.
Because Cristiano Ronaldo is already at Real Madrid, as you know. He was known to be the most expensive footballer in the world at 80 million. And Real Madrid are actually claiming that the amount they paid for Gareth Bale is 78, not 86 million. But knowing the way that Spurs chairman Daniel Levy works, I tend to believe their figure of 86.
Why is Gareth Bale so good? What makes him worth that money?
Well, to start off with, he's a goal scorer. He's a very powerful boy. I think he was spotted early on in his days in school football in Cardiff as being an extraordinary talent. He's very powerful physically. He shrugs players off. He's good to watch. He's a kind of footballer that people love to pay and see. But I have to say a word of caution is that his actual last season was an outstanding season for him. Prior to that, there were some fairly ordinary seasons, to be truthful. And I think there is an element of risk in what Real Madrid have done in terms of the fee they paid. But you'll see today when they unveil him at a ceremony at lunchtime in the Bernabeu Stadium in Madrid, there'll be tens and tens of thousands of fans coming in just to say hello to him, not to play football or watch him play football, just to see him sign and greet the fans. And
obviously, the £86 million will go to Spurs because they've bought him off him. But how much will he? What's his weekly salary going to be?
Well, it's reported to be £256,000 a week.
Flippin' heck! That's mental!
Yes, it is.
That is mental!
Well, yes, but that is a reported wage. And it's not a great deal more than Wayne Rooney's earning at Old Trafford. But, this is what footballers are paid now. And, I mean, to an extent, it is television money. It's the worldwide appeal of the Premier League, the overseas rights for Premier League, which is watched in every corner of the world, every corner of the globe. There are enormous amounts of money swirling around in football now. It really is. It's moved from being a sport, which it was when I first started reporting it back in the 60s. It's now become a big business, I'm afraid.
If someone's earning about £1 million a month, Steve, how on earth do they deal with that mentally?
Well, of course, they probably get half of that in their pockets, as it were.
Yeah.
But because of tax. But I mean, they have investment advisors now. They have accountants. Footballers now are surrounded by a coterie of various people, and their money is, generally speaking, looked after. The irony is, at the moment, that there's a big the Professional Footballers Association, whose own boss has been. It's been revealed has been gambling a lot. They're the kind of organisation who advise players on what to do with their money, where to invest it. Now, for me, I don't think there's a player playing in the Premier League who should not be able to retire in his 30s and be comfortable for life.
Steve Curry, thank you very much. Steve Curry from the Daily Mail. There, 08459 455 555. He's basically earning, not Steve, Gareth. He's earning quite a nice house a week. He's getting quite a nice house a week. That's mental. £256,000 a week. What? You would go nuts, wouldn't you? Be honest, you couldn't handle that. I couldn't handle it. Could you handle that, Catherine?
I'd be ruined.
Sorry?
I'd go to rack and ruin. I'd go mad. I'd tell everyone to shove it. I'd buy the world.
You're like that anyway. I would do like 2 weeks work and then go, I'm going to quit now. After 2 weeks.
Oh, I've twisted my ankle.
Oh!
You know, it's your ideal job being a footballer. They do a bit of training in the morning, the rest of the time it's Xbox.
It involves football, though, so that kind of...
Well, yeah, admittedly, that's a little bit tricky.
90 minutes a week. I could work 90 minutes a week for £250,000.
They have a lot of free time.
And they just it seems that they get to go around being obnoxious as well and sleeping with each other's girlfriends.
Some do, but as I say, time in your hands.
There we go, you see. Hey, nice to see you. £250,000 a week.
Mm-hmm.
Could you live on that?
Oh, easily.
I would do 2 weeks and then quit. Go, I'm all right now, thanks.
No, you wouldn't.
Yes, I would.
Would you? What? Oh, football, this is.
Well, anything. If I got paid, I mean, if I'd have to take a pay cut, but if I got, £250,000 here, I'd work 2 weeks and then go, yeah, thanks very much.
And
now
that's
stick it. Now stick
really?
It where the sun don't shine.
Really?
Yes, I would.
I'd carry on working even if I won the Euro Millions.
Would you?
Yes, I would.
Why?
I enjoy it.
You...
No one else does.
I enjoy it as well. I'm being slightly flippant. I think we are both very lucky in that we do jobs that are comparatively easy compared to building walls and things like that, but also very enjoyable. But I would still jack it in.
Would you? What would you do instead? You'd just sit there in your pants eating pizza, and you'd get depressed.
Yeah, but I don't. Yeah.
Well, you don't want to do that.
No, I'd read books. I'd travel the world.
Would you
play video? No, I would eat pizza and be depressed. I'd
exactly.
Cry.
Play PlayStation.
Yes, I would,
and crave attention. So imagine what life would be like for your neighbours.
Yeah,
you'd be out there washing your car naked.
Yeah,
look at me, everyone. Look at me. Someone, please show me some attention.
Is that why you're naked now? I'm not looking down.
No,
I'm not looking down. What's on your show today, please?
Coming up on the big phone in this morning, should MPs be asked to vote again on Syria? This is the story that just keeps running and running and running for obvious reasons. The Mayor of London, Boris Johnson, says that if there's new evidence President Assad used chemical weapons, MPs should vote again on military action. Seen this story today? However, the Foreign Minister, William Hague, has said there won't be another vote as ministers could not go back every week to discuss something MPs had rejected. The US government says it has more evidence now that the nerve agent sarin was used in Damascus last month, but President Obama will consult Congress before taking any action. So there seems to be this idea, doesn't there, that we could now
because there's this time that has been bought by the Americans, we could ask our MPs to look at the evidence again and then to vote again.
Yeah.
Do we want to see that happening, or do we kind of feel as if as a country we've made our mind up, we've decided we're not getting involved and we should just stand by that?
They voted, and they voted against. That vote has to stand. Just because some people didn't get their way, the Prime Minister didn't get his way, you can't then go, oh, can we try again? Can we have another go?
But because a lot of those MPs who voted against last time, they voted against because they said, well, there's just not enough evidence, we want to wait for the UN to come back with their findings and all that kind of stuff. If there is sufficient evidence that MPs say, well, actually, you know what? Now, a week down the line or 2 weeks down the line, looking at this again, we do think, actually, there is enough evidence to show that this man, Assad, is crazy, he's a crazy dictator, and he used chemical weapons on his own people. Actually, that's changed my mind now. I think, yes, we should do something about it.
No, because if I've got this right, and I could be wrong, the question they voted was something along, it's the last two words that are important, something along the lines with, should we get involved in military action in Syria if necessary? If necessary is the key thing, and they've already said no, even if it's necessary, we shouldn't get involved. They've had their vote.
But the Labour Party over the weekend, they've been making some noises, haven't they?
Yes.
About the possibility of going back and having another vote. Is that because they're wondering whether they made the right decision first time? Every single Labour MP voted against in that last vote. Are they now starting to think, ooh, was that the right thing to do? Can we have another chance? Can we go back again? Can we have another say and another opportunity to change our mind? Well, do we want our MPs to do this, yes or no? We'll debate this morning on the Big Phone In at 9.
Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
I have no idea, but Jonathan Bernard-Smith is doing an impression of Rick from The Young Ones as he ran out of the studio. I don't know what that was about. He was... How very, very strange. What a peculiar gentleman. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. Well, apparently Gareth Bale's on the line. Oh, it's George from Bedford. Hello, George.
Yeah, I just want to link this story about Gareth Bale's earnings and what they paid for him and so on to the Jamie Oliver story last week, where he expects his staff to be able to work 48 hours or more.
Yeah.
And he was saying that he used to work 100 hours. I mean, what that shows, a lot of people in this world work hard, work long hours, and end up with relatively nothing. And then you get people like him, footballers, doing 25 hours, maybe 30 a week, and earning, astronomical sums. And it shows again that this idea that if you work hard, you get somewhere, then it's not true at all.
Are you not just a bit jealous?
No, not jealous. It's a question of proportion. I mean, if you look at the situation in Spain as well, 50% youth unemployment.
Yeah. But that's not Gareth Bale's fault, is it?
It's not his fault, but I think it's out of proportion. Could he be paid less and that money, find better uses for that money?
But Gareth Bale made the decision years ago. He found he had a talent, and he made the decision to dedicate his life towards improving that talent, to focusing and honing those God-given skills. Should he not be rewarded for that?
Well, then there's been other players. I mean, is he the best ever? Is he the greatest ever? I probably, you'll find he's not. I mean, it's still out of proportion. Just, he's kicking a football about. It's 250,000 a week, £1 million a month.
What should he earn, George?
Well, I don't know, but it's only a lot less than that.
Should we all go to Cuba, where they all earn the same amount, doctors and taxi drivers?
It's like in the Premier League here. You've got people on high wages, then you go in the lower ranks, and some of them are struggling. I mean, perhaps there's something wrong there. I mean, that money could be redistributed better.
Well, it sounds a little bit like communism, George.
Well, you could look at it that way, but I mean, £85 million for a human being.
Yeah.
I mean, how much is a chairman worth? A chairman of a company worth? He earns more than many people running industries, running companies. That's what you have to think about. He's earning more than many company directors.
George, thank you very much indeed. It's George from Bedford, who thinks that the Gareth Bale is certainly not worth £86 million. I dispute it as well. I don't quite know how you could justify £86 million. But are we just a little bit jealous? Are we jealous? I'm sure if someone offered George, I've got a job for you. Problem is, you're going to have to earn £250,000 a week. Oh, no, I can't do it. No, I can't do that. He would grab it. Even George would sound excited, wouldn't he? Are we jealous of these people? 08459 455 544. George from Bedford, thank you very much for your call. Now, you learn so much from your parents, how to behave, and sometimes how not to behave. But according to researchers at the University of Birmingham, today's mums and dads think schools should take more responsibility for teaching kids values. A report by the Jubilee Centre for Character and Values suggests 80% of parents think values should be right up there with maths and English in schools' priorities. Well, Brian Lightman is General Secretary of the Association of School and College Leaders and joins me now. Brian, schools should be teaching children values. Discuss.
Absolutely. I think it's absolutely crucial that we should be teaching those things. We hear so much about GCSE and A-level and passing exams and so on, but education is about so much more than that. And what we need to do is to give children a very broad education and teach them all kinds of things far beyond what you learn in those subjects.
Should this be a specific lesson, Brian, or just something that's absorbed by the demeanour of the teachers?
I think it's something that should be part of the ethos of the school, what the school actually stands for. If I, as a head teacher, for a long time, if I stood up as a head teacher, I would be promoting a set of values that we believed in, and I would see that as a key role of my leadership, and I would see it as a key role of the leadership of all of our teachers and all of our staff in our school to do that.
I'm a parent. As parents and teachers, we're fighting a losing battle, aren't we, Brian? I don't know if you're aware of a programme called Geordie Shore, where it's lots of horrible young people doing vulgar things. These are our children's heroes these days.
I think there is a massive problem about the double standards that children are exposed to and the sorts of values that they see outside school. In many ways, schools are the sort of last bastion of quite old-fashioned values about things, traditional values, if you like, and we do that quite unashamedly. But I think we need to think very carefully about some of the messages that young people are receiving through the media, through some of the television programmes they see, through the celebrity culture and the behaviour of some people who they do look up to.
Can the government do in this? Should the government be getting involved, or should they step back?
Well, I think the government should be saying more about values. It talks extensively about academic learning, but it doesn't say as much about these things, and I'd certainly like to see them saying that. But this should be a partnership. It's about everyone working together, and that means schools, it means government, but it also means parents as well, and society, wider society.
Some parents, let's be honest, they are scum. If your child is that's a starting point for a child, there's no hope for them, is there?
Well, I don't want to attack parents, and I think they have a very difficult job, but at the same time, I'm very aware that today there will be many children starting school, and the odds are absolutely stacked against them because of what they've experienced or haven't experienced outside school. For example, there'll be children starting in primary school who have never sat down with anybody and had a story read to them. There are children who have not been properly trained to eat properly, or even in some cases been toilet trained and so on. And these are things that are basic requirements that we should all be doing, so that we make sure that when the children come to school, when they come to secondary school, which our members are responsible for, then the children are properly equipped, that they're going in with the right attitude, that parents are saying this is really important for you to work hard, and they're supporting the school. All those sorts of things really need to happen.
Brian, thank you very much indeed. Brian Lightman, General Secretary of the Association of Schools and College Leaders. I've said this before. I do think if you don't sit down with your kids and read them stories, it's criminal. It's criminal. I had to tell my eldest to stop bringing me books yesterday. There was only so many Thomas books I could be bothered to read, and Greek myths. I said, look, can we have a break for a little bit? No, read another story, Dada. Oh, dearie me. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number. It's coming up to 8:30 on BBC Three Counties Radio.
On FM, AM, online and digital radio.
This is Iain Lee.
On BBC Three Counties Radio.
Coming Coming up before JVS at 9 o'clock, the result of our experiment when we asked Kelly Betts to go out and throw litter on the street. Why? There is a reason for it. And producer Catherine Boyle will remind us what that is a bit later on. And we're trying to find out how on earth is Gareth Bale worth 86 million quid? Sheila's in St Albans. Good morning, Sheila.
Good morning.
What do you think? Is he worth it?
I don't think he's worth that amount of money. But I was wondering, I thought Spain had money problems, don't they?
I believe that they're in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then is it... You made the comment that is it the banks or someone who are sponsoring him or Real Madrid?
Well, the banks, I think, are involved. I'm Googling this because Spanish football backers, because I'm a little bit out of my league. The gentleman we had from the Daily Mail said that the banks were involved in it, yes.
Right, well, what I can't understand then, get my head round, is that if the banks can find a hell of a lot of money there, then why can't the banks have helped their people or Spain or sort out things? Because I tell you what, if they ask for any more money from me in my taxes, I think I'll stand up there and say no, because you're spending it all on a footballer.
It does seem odd. Well, they are struggling over there, and there's a huge rate of unemployment. I think it's 50% youth unemployment or something like that.
And a lot of the Spanish youngsters are coming over here for jobs because they can't get jobs in their own country.
Sheila, would you go nuts if you earned £250,000 a week?
I expect they might go off the rails. I don't know, but I think it's a stupid amount of money.
Are we not just a bit jealous?
No, I'm not jealous, because I don't think money always brings happiness.
I'm going to tell you something that I'm always slightly loath to reveal bits about my private life. I'm going to tell you about years ago. I used to work on TV. I had a little bit of a profile, and for one evening's work, I hosted the Q Awards. Yeah, that's right. I hosted the Q Awards one year, which is a big thing. For one evening's work, it was about 2 hours, Sheila. 10,000 of your earth pounds for 2 hours' work. Now, there's no... when I was told that, I laughed out loud. I said, there's no way we can justify asking for that, and we asked for it, and we got it. Is that acceptable? Because that's a ridiculous amount of money. $5,000 an hour? That's crazy.
Well, I think it's like everything. You get good salaries, and then you have problems like we have now, and the salaries all go down. But I just, to my way of thinking, it's the fact that someone said, the bankers were...
Yeah.
Behind them, and I'm thinking there's the bankers turning round and saying, we're running out of money, or we haven't got this, or we haven't got that, or we can't do any help. But they can afford to, shall we say, buy a footballer.
Yes.
That's what I don't see the point of.
Sheila, thank you very much indeed. By the way, can I just say that was 12 years ago I earned that 10 grand for a night. I would do the same gig now for 50 quid. I would do the same gig for 50 quid now. It was a very daunting night. There was, who was in I nearly touched Christina Aguilera's backside. This is when she was popular. I had to, and ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Christina Aguilera. Imagine that! Me! Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Jarvis Cocker. Here's Scott Walker. There's me doing all of that. It's mental, isn't it? That's what my life used to be like. Here's that bloke from The Cure. I wasn't so impressed with that, but the bloke from The Cure was there, and he came and shook my hand afterwards. Anyway, by the by. Now, you'll remember a while back we told you that this year's Christmas lights in Luton were under threat because the council were not sure whether they had enough money to fund them. Well, it turns out they've been saved by one of the biggest employers in Luton, EasyJet. The airline has provided sponsorship for the lights, meaning Luton will definitely have lights this Christmas. Hugh Aitken is the commercial manager for EasyJet and joins me now. Hugh, when did you find out that the council was struggling to fund this year's Christmas lights?
Morning, Ian. We first found out on the BBC News website earlier this year that there was a risk to them, and after that EasyJet thought, right, well, I wonder if this is an opportunity for us make sure that Luton still has its Christmas.
So what happens? You read this on a website, and what, an email gets sent round? Do you have a meeting or something and say, look, can we pitch in here, guys? Well, how does that kind of thing work?
Yeah, sure. Well, we're speaking to Luton County, and also we work very closely with the Love Luton campaign, and it came up in part of regular discussions with them that this might be an opportunity.
Hugh, listen, we're gonna have to let you go because the line for some reason is pretty poor. We'll see if you can get you back on another line, but the line there was dropping out. If it had been a little bit less, I could have stayed with it, but I think we were losing the meaning slightly. I do worry that are we going to have orange lights in Luton this Christmas? Will it be an orange Christmas? Is that what you're dreaming of? Really? Hey, listen, it's good it's happening. And to be honest, I don't really care who is sponsoring. I'm a sucker for Christmas lights. I'm a sucker for them. Although, I don't like it when they can be up for months. Sometimes they can be up as April the next year. No. After New Year, we take them down, please. Can we? Can we do that? 08459 455 555 is the telephone number. We'll see if we can get Hugh back, but if we can't, it's not the end of the world. We'll have a quick look at the front pages, shall we? That was the life that was. Oh dear, really? Daily Telegraph? David Frost, the veteran broadcaster, has died of a heart attack at the age of 74 on the Queen Elizabeth cruise ship where he was to give a speech. So I like David Frost. He's one of those people that you kind of... If you remember him just from Through the Keyhole, then you are missing out on a whole... Have you seen the movie Frost Nixon or Nixon Frost? Frost Nixon? Nixon Frost. Frost Nixon. Have you seen it? The interviews themselves, there are moments of brilliance within them, but they're very, very... There's hours of them. And so they can be a little bit tedious. The film, when the film was... someone was trying to... Oh, you got to see Frost Nixon. It's about the David Frost, Richard Nixon interviews. Oh, right, yeah, I'm really going to spend an hour and a half watching that. I watched it on an aeroplane, which is the best place to watch a film. Because of the high altitude, you feel a bit emotional. It's my excuse. It was brilliant. It's a brilliant film. Daily Telegraph as well. Pressure on Cameron for new vote on Syria strikes. JVS is talking about that after 9. I kind of think you had your vote... You blew it. You didn't get your way. You don't get another vote. It's not how it works. Sarin nerve gas used by Syria, says Kerry. US could go ahead with bombing of regime, even if Congress votes against. There we go. Let's have a little look at The Independent. More about David Frost. And government let British company export nerve gas chemicals to Syria. Hello, hang on a second. The government was accused of breathtaking laxity in its arms controls last night, after it emerged that officials authorised the export to Syria of 2 chemicals capable of being used to make a nerve agent with sarin last year. Didn't we speak to that gentleman last week whose name escapes me? Alistair Burt. And have we got our... I think the question was, have we got our hands clean in terms of exporting weapons to Syria? He said, yes, of course we have. Of course we have. We're not involved in the slightest. Let me just read this paragraph from the front page of The Independent again. The government was accused of breathtaking laxity in its armed controls last night after it emerged that officials authorised the export to Syria of 2 chemicals capable of being used to make a nerve agent such as sarin a year ago. The Business Secretary, Vince Cable, will today be asked by MPs to explain why a British company was granted export licences for the dual-use substances for 6 months in 2012, while Syria's civil war was raging and concerns were rife that the regime could use chemical weapons. Oh, hello? The disclosure of the licences for potassium fluoride and sodium fluoride, which can both be used as a precursor chemicals, came as the US Secretary of State, John Kerry. The Department for Business, Innovation and Skills, there's a Department for Skills? Insisted that although the licences were granted to an unnamed UK chemical company in January 2012, the substances were not sent to Syria before the permits were eventually revoked last July. In a previously unpublished letter to MPs last year, Mr Cable acknowledged that his officials had authorised the export of an unspecified quantity of the chemicals in the knowledge that they were listed on an international schedule of chemical weapon precursors. Ladies and gentlemen, we are floating in space. Hugh, you're back!
Hi there.
Hugh, we can hear you better. Hugh Aitken from EasyJet, commercial manager for EasyJet, who is sponsoring the Christmas lights. Good, I'm glad we got you back. So the Christmas lights are going to happen. Are they going to be orange this year, Hugh?
Well, I'm sure there'll be a bit of orange in there. There always is, but we'll certainly make sure there's a little bit of orange in there and helps brighten up Luton this Christmas.
You're one of the biggest employees in Luton. You must be proud to be behind the Christmas lights.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been in Luton for 18 years now. It's been our home, and we're proud of that. We're proud of the people we employ here and the contribution we make to the town. We're also involved with Luton Town Football Club, of course, as well. So, it's natural. This is part of what we want to be doing and being part of the community. And have you spoken to any members of the community about this? Have people kind of metaphorically patted you on the back and said thank you? Not yet. We're just announcing this morning, of course, so not yet, but, we'll be, this is just part of our commitment to Luton, so, we want to look for these opportunities, and we want that as being part of Luton more than anything else, and that's what we want to get out of these. And is it true that some of your cabin crew are off on a jolly today? Not at all. We've got cabin crew flying out of Luton to close to 40 destinations today. We had a couple of our cabin crew down in the town hall getting a picture with Santa, which is being published today, of course, and just as part of us launching our sponsorship of the Christmas lights this year.
Now, hang on, Hugh. Was it the real Father Christmas or one of those blokes dressed up as him?
Well, there only is a real Father Christmas, Ian. You know that.
You answered the trick question correctly, Hugh Aitken. Well done. Commercial manager for EasyJet, who are sponsoring the Christmas lights. I think fantastic. It's great news, isn't it? I do like a good Christmas light. We'll stop banging on about Christmas now. I know it's only the 2nd of September, and we've already steamed in perhaps a little bit too early on the Christmas. So I thought that was kind of a nice story to look at. Last 15 minutes of the show, we'll be hearing from our reporter, Kelly Betts, who has been dropping litter all over Luton. Did anybody have a go? 08459 455 555. And can you justify £86 million for Gareth Bale? Can anybody really justify that much money? Or are we all perhaps just a little bit jealous of the gentleman for doing well in life? Always worth a listen. He says what he thinks, does old Roberto, and that's got to be good, hasn't it? It's got to be good, isn't it? Not for, a little bit dangerous, but well done for him. Now, this weekend, today we've been asking, would you have a go? The reason is, Catherine Boyle was out with her mum. Well, you tell the story, Catherine. What happened?
We were in the park, and as usual, we had to litter pick before we could use the swings. Not me and my mum. We had some children with us. Mine, not random children.
Okay.
So she was a bit fed up anyway, so she went round and picked up all the litter from the kids who'd been into the local supermarket and filled their boots with all kinds of sort of donuts and soft drinks and things like that, and some harder drinks too. So mum had done this and was then playing with the children. And then some teenage girls came in and started an ad hoc picnic with a great big shopping bag full of donuts and soft drinks.
Fun.
That's fine. Then mum saw them out the corner of her eye starting to chuck litter.
Oh.
She said, I'm not having this. Oh, we'll leave it, mum. I'm not having this. I'm going in. Please.
No,
too
good
late.
for her.
She'd gone in and she said very calmly and very nicely, listen, girls, I've had to do a bit of a litter pick round here to let the children play. You know, my little granddaughters couldn't play until I'd picked up all the litter. When you finished your picnic, would you mind putting them back into that shopping bag and putting them in the bin that's just there?
Yep.
And could you pick that up as well, love? I just saw you throw
And
that.
they stabbed her.
And they said, I'm really sorry, Mrs.
You go, you see, fantastic. Well done. How old's your mum?
My mum is a bit older than Madonna.
70.
No, a bit younger than that.
Okay. Well, that's brilliant. Well done, her.
She's brilliant. I was rubbish. I stood back with the children just in case it kicked off.
Yeah, so you're all
I wasn't with her.
And no trousers. Literally no trousers today. And we need to have a chat about that after the show. As a result of that, we sent Kelly Betts out today, who is kind of, you know, our reporter. And what have you been doing, Kelly Betts?
Nobody could see you do that, what you just did.
Well, no one saw you do it.
Yeah, but, you know.
Okay, they could hear it. I'm good at...
okay.
My voice is my fortune.
Got you.
Okay.
So I've been out dropping litter to see if anybody would tell me off.
People can see you doing that.
No, they can't. Only Kath can, and she loves it. So people, I've been out seeing what people will do if I drop litter in front of them. If you want me to lean over and press...
I'll do it.
All right.
This one?
Yep.
There we go.
So here I go then. I'm walking down the streets of Luton. I've got my chocolate bar wrapper with me. It was delicious, by the way. I'm going to drop it in front of somebody and see if they tell me to pick it up. Okay, so there's 2 women in front of me, 1 man to the side, a couple of people behind me. I'm going to drop the litter now. No one said anything. It's got quite busy. I'm just walking through loads of people. I can't do it. I'm too scared to drop the litter. I'm too scared of getting told off. I'm not going to do it. I'll do it. I'll walk past again and do it then. Okay, the litter is dropped.
Excuse me, are you going to pick that up?
Sorry, what?
Are you going to pick the litter up?
Yeah, I'll pick that up. Why did you tell me to pick up the litter?
Because you're leaving rubbish on the floor and you're making a mess in Luton. It's pretty messy anyway, so we should look after it.
Okay, there's a woman in front of me. There's a man to the side of me. There's a couple of people ahead, but they're sort of looking in my direction. There's my chocolate litter.
Excuse me, can you pick that up, please?
You want me to pick that up? Okay. Why did you ask me to pick that up?
You shouldn't drop litter on the floor.
Sorry. Getting told off. Well, when I dropped litter then, you just stood there and you allowed me to drop it. Why didn't you tell me off?
I don't know. It's up to you, really. But then some people would say that if you dropped it, then you're creating a job for somebody else to pick it up.
So you think it's almost a good thing if I drop litter, so that it gives someone a job to pick it up?
Yeah, because if we pay our council the tax and stuff like that, so we give them a job.
Oh, okay, so we should litter?
No, not too much. As much as that, just a little bit, that's it. We got people in place who will pick it up anyway, so...
So shall I just leave it there?
It's up to you, really.
Okay, I'm going to walk off and just leave it there. No, I can't. I have to pick it up. Hi, I'm from Three Counties Radio. Are you picking up litter this morning? What would you do if I just dropped it on the floor and then walked past like that? You wouldn't do anything. He just left it and he's picking up litter. Why didn't you pick that up? Is it because you don't want to talk to me?
I've been doing this job 10 years. I mean, I just pick it up anyway. As soon as you walk by, I'll pick it up.
So you wouldn't have said to me, oh, are you going to pick that up?
No, not really.
You just left it?
Yeah.
Do you like it when people drop litter?
Not really.
Gives you something to do?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Excuse me, you just dropped your litter. Can you pick it up, please?
Oh, did I drop that? Oh, sorry. Thank you. I don't know how people can drop litter. It's terrifying. I've been told off about 3 times. I haven't even had the guts to drop litter half the time that I've been out. What I have been doing is picking up litter that I see instead. I'll bring in to you, Ian, what I find.
That was rubbish.
Smell my bag.
Oh, no.
Smell it. Please smell it. Smell that.
Oh, jeez. That's
So this is all
stinky.
the litter that I've collected.
So
Bagful.
you genuinely felt bad about dropping litter?
Yeah, I was terrified.
People were spontaneously coming up to you and saying, "Stop! Don't drop that litter." See, that's brilliant. I thought we'd get nothing. I thought we would come back and we go, "Oh, broken Britain. No one gives a stuff." But people were coming up to you and having a go.
Yeah, it was horrible. Some people were just leaving it. They watched me do it and gave me a little look, which I felt was almost worse than a telling off.
Yeah. What was that guy banging on about? Dropping a little bit of litter is okay.
Yeah, because it gives the street cleaner something to do.
So by doing that, we are creating jobs.
Yeah.
Well, thanks very much for coming in.
Anytime. I'm going to put a picture of this litter that I collected on Facebook and Twitter.
You really don't need to.
Why?
I mean, what
people love to look at bags of litter, don't they? Honestly, I've collected so much.
Ken is in Luton. Morning, Ken.
Morning, Ian.
Ken, would you like to look at a picture of Kelly Betts's bag of litter?
Not really.
No? Doesn't want to look at it.
Why don't you send a bloke out?
Yeah.
And see what reaction you get then.
Oh, why? Do you think it'll be different?
Oh, yes.
Yeah?
Yes. You send a bloke out and I bet you very few people will even worry about it.
Do you know what? That's not a bad idea. Next Monday, when Justin Dealey is back, we'll send Dealey out doing the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll send him out doing exactly the same thing, and when he complains, as he will do, we'll give him your number,
get up
Ken.
early.
Yeah, well, we'll give him your number, Ken.
What if we send Ken out?
Ken?
Yeah, well, what?
Do you ever litter?
Oh, no. I don't go nowhere to litter.
No, well, you're in your bed all the time, aren't you?
On my bed, yes.
Yes. Well, do you not litter by the side of your bed?
No.
No. You tied it up.
The wife clearing up after me.
Don't you think it's nice, though, Ken, seriously, that people came up to Kelly Betts and said, "Oi, pick it up"?
Yes, I'm thrilled about it, Ian, but
I can
that's
tell.
not reality. You'd go round our park.
Yeah.
I mean, the footballers leave a load of rubbish after they've played football.
Yeah.
And the cricketers do, and
cricketers,
everyone else does.
judging by the England cricket team, they leave a big pile of wee-wee by the wickets.
When I used to walk my dog round the park,
yes,
on my scooter, I used to pick the litter up and that sort of thing, you know, or glass. That's the worst bit.
Yeah.
When there had a few smashed bottles in the park, and kids had to walk to school around it and everything, and you'd be surprised after a weekend, mate. You'd think a bomb had hit the park. Yet, being fair to the park keepers, they do a fantastic job. It's all gone by the dinner time, you know. So that old lady that's going to make the street cleaners redundant ought to think again.
Just on a little side issue, Ken, you heard Kelly Betts's report there. She is just filling in for Justin Dealey. Any feedback for her?
Not really. What's he dropping? That's what I want to know.
What were you dropping, Kelly, is Ken's feedback?
It was a Kit Kat wrapper. Other chocolate wrappers are available.
Why didn't you smash a bottle on the path?
Good question, actually.
Good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point, Ken.
Why not do it properly?
Do it in style.
Yeah, give them old cleaners something to do.
Yeah. Ken, did you think Kelly Betts was any good?
Oh, yeah, I thought she was quite good.
Marks
but, I mean, as I say...
Yes. Marks out of 10.
5.
Oh.
5?
Oh, it's not
but when you
pretty
send
low.
Justin out, you'll have to give him a crash helmet. Health and safety.
How many marks out of 10 would you give Justin?
Well, I'll wait and see.
Okay. Ken, thank you very much indeed. It's really slowed the pace of the show to barely a crawl there. Kelly Betts, thanks very much.
Thanks.
Out you go.
So what should I do with this?
Give it to Kath.
Put it back on the street?
Yeah, just go and chuck it out the front. Okay.
Right. Bye, yeah. Thanks for having me.
It's been Iain Lee on BBC Three Counties Radio. I think we've just about managed to get away with the show this morning. Just about. Don't forget, you can. There's a new podcast up. A new podcast goes up every Friday at about 1-2 o'clock. And if you go to iTunes or the BBC Three Counties homepage, you'll find the link for the podcast there. Chris, thank you very much. Excellent stuff today. That's it. Don't forget, if you want to get in touch with a story, a couple of stories today that have come from you, send me an email, ian.lee, IAIN.LEE at bbc.co.uk. JVS is up next. Until tomorrow, from me, ta-ta.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Ian.